That was terrible.
Should we do it again?
Yeah, okay. 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1. Cool.
That was better.
That was better. And this is a podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the New Jersey edition of the Airborne Sealife podcast. How's it going, Brendan?
It's good. And New Jersey. It's a beautiful day here in New Jersey and not Canada.
It's a wonderful, not Canadian day.
Look, there are no roving gangs of hockey players in the streets throwing maple syrup bombs into homes.
No, it's just, cranky Italians throwing smoked fish and pizza through windows.
My goodness, I nearly sprayed coffee through every orifice in my face.
Which is something that happens in New Jersey. Anyway, what's the news today, Brent?
Well, and you're also going to probably notice we're missing a person today. You see, Yusuf is currently being trained by Liam Neeson in the Himalayas to go and bring order to Gotham City right now. So he's going to be out for like a week.
I was going to say, he's communing with the bears because Canada, but that works.
Well, there's moose. I think people would expect a moose to be the deal, but we'll get into all of that at a later juncture. But let's get into the news. Let's get into the news. It's sort of exciting news. We've got from metalinjection.net, Mayhem Fest details their comeback plans, lineup reveal, and coming up this week. Yeah, that's exciting. It's like we're finally slowly beginning to truly return to a pre-COVID world a little bit, where we're actually getting music festivals again.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even like pre-COVID because Mayhem stopped in 2015. But this is super cool. I saw the second to last one that ever happened. I think Brendan saw the last one that ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of hyped for this. Depending on who plays it, but I think it'll be cool.
I mean, that's the whole point. Going to a live event is, I think, by definition, always like really super cool. That is my humble opinion on that idea. It's just a happy sign when we can see a whole return to going back into like live events where you can just meet people that are out in the wild and buy overpriced beer at the concession stand and, make reckless life decisions in a mosh pit.
Yeah, no, I a couple weeks ago went to see, what was it? Cataclysm, a Legion, which I'm kind of obsessed with now, Septic Flesh, and Decapitated. That was a wild mosh pit, let me tell you.
Yeah, all of that would be the definition of a pretty zesty day, especially Septic Flesh, where it's almost like heavy death metal church almost, where it's like this very like esoteric and just very kind of spooky vibe to it. It's like to listen.
I was kind of like about Septic Flesh until I saw them live, and honestly, I'm way more like, yeah, good job about them now.
Well, I think that, I think you just kind of I think with a lot of bands, you just kind of have to like accept the whole aesthetic of it one way or the other. Like if you were going to enjoy it, you might as well just kind of dive on head first and enjoy it for what it is. Because like Septic Flesh as a band is something where you have to like accept the fact that it almost is like the instructions in the CD should be, now open up your necronamic tone and begin chanting in Aramaic, and then, and only then, will the flies start coming out and arrange the musical notes that you will now have to play on your ancient pipe organ type of instrument that we found over in a very deep pit in Ethiopia somewhere.
No, they were fun. They were fun. Legion was nuts. I'm obsessed with that band because it's proggy and also death metal and also just some of the best classical guitar playing I've ever heard in my life. I don't know. It's good stuff. But
what would you throw together if you were going to make like your version of a festival? Like we thrown a couple of bands that you had fun with. What's your festival if you had to look at a lineup and be like, "Ooh, please take my money. I
Oh
very
man,
much wish to have less money so I could go to this thing and come back with sore joints and things."
I that's hard because my instinct would be to just throw in a bunch of bands that I've never seen before. Like I really want to see Ginger live. I'd love to see Sleep Token. Uh, I haven't seen what band. I mean, what bands have I been listening to lately that I have not seen live?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've been kind of just listening to Paramore lately, which is very different from what we're talking about right now. You know what?
Yeah,
Actually,
that's very off-brand.
yeah, no, I love Paramore. They're freaking awesome. Um, Invent Animate. I'd love to see Animate the Omnific. The Nelva Viscaris would be super
Mm.
cool. But I'm literally just listing bands I want to see live. I don't know. What's your festival of choice?
Ooh, that's really good. So I feel like obviously we have to kind of pick like the vibe of the festival. Because the spirit of Mayhem Fest is permeating in my soul a bit today. I definitely am feeling the whole, the holiday. Well, I don't want to know if I want to say holiday spirit, but like festival spirit, maybe. The spirit of Lilith Fair is permeating my soul at the moment. A whole lot of festivals are. It's like a commune of different spirits going through me, like some kind of cult commune out in the desert or something. I don't know.
Is the
Okay,
soundtrack perhaps Septic Flesh? uh,
that's oh yeah. Well, I was about to correct you and call it a cult, but then that's what I called it initially for like a moron. Uh, Fair enough. I will give you that. So okay, for me, if it were me, there's a couple of different ways I can go with it. Like if you're gonna go like a pagan festival, like let's be real, that festival would rule because pagans know how to party every time. I would have some headliners like Amon Amarth, Bathory. I'm gonna maybe
mhm.
throw in there too. I think that'd be really cool. Let's maybe get some Celtic Frost in there. Maybe that'd be a really cool one. Uh,
Elevated.
Elevati, yeah, we could
Elevated.
definitely get Arcona.
Yeah.
Corpaclani would be a good one. Get that nice kind of
Get
folky
get that party music
viola
in there.
playing. Oh yeah, definitely. Tier, get some power metal in there.
Yeah. Yeah, here's a good time.
I would definitely go to this festival. Like, you would have to. Where would this festival be? Is the
I
real
mean,
question.
like north of Germany, somewhere north of Germany.
Yeah, like really inconvenient for people to get to. Like, if it's going to be a real pagan festival, you have to schlep in there, following a haggard old woman with reeds strapped to her back and the babushka around her head.
Yeah, no one tells you where it is. You just have to like hang out in the woods until you see this person and then follow her to
Or
the
get some kind
festival
of
ground.
cryptic message delivered by a crow as it drops out of the sky. Look into the eyes of the madman, and you will know. Look deep into the third eye of a cat as he turns around the Douglas fir thrice, and travel north until your eyes bleed. Then, and only then, will you see the concession stand where you can purchase a reasonably priced beer for about €5.
Well, reasonably priced is a bit of a stretch, but
It is. It's reason. Maybe reasonable for like a festival.
right. Uh, anyway, speaking both of going back to a legion of things that are prog and also something else, and of bands that I would really like to see live but haven't. What is today's topic, Brandon?
Well, that's a great question, Manuel, because you specifically wanted to talk about some good old fashioned Symphony X. That was a
I,
good choice.
I think the specific motivation was we should talk about a New Jersey band,
Yeah,
and
because here we are in New
yeah, here we
Jersey.
are. It's truly the New Jersey of America. Uh,
We're recording this podcast from a ham radio in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot somewhere, deep within the bowels of the earth. lined with Taylor ham on the walls for insulation.
Hey now, who's calling it Taylor ham?
It's New Jersey. We have to make a debate.
What's this North Jersey shit I'm hearing?
We need to make a controversy.
For our listeners who are normal people, North Jersey calls it Taylor ham, South Jersey calls it pork roll. None of us can agree as to why, but we're both very vehement about it.
We have neurodiverged so far away from the subject that we should probably tell them the song we're listening to today.
Anyway, we're doing the Accolade by Symphony X.
We are doing the Accolade by Symphony X today.
It's a cool 10-minute song. I don't know. It might just be the bells, but this song feels very Christmassy to me, and it's not about Christmas.
It's not just the bells. There's some definitely churchy parts in the song.
Yeah, and listening to this again, it really. I'm starting to wonder how much Haken was listening to this song when they wrote Crystallized, because there's some feel that is shared between the two songs.
Can I just say, the song has a texture to it in my mind. Like it feels like a product at the time it was made. What was this? Like 2004?
2004. Yeah.
Right. Like you could really hear. I don't know how to explain it, but you could really hear the decade in which it was recorded. There's just something about the synthesized keyboard playing, the way the guitar is like filtered into the song. It's very just very textured of that decade in my mind.
Yeah, it's very, early to mid 2000s power metal. Just loads of synthesizers, some dude singing about knights and angels, and But being Symphony X, there's some spicy moments. There's some odd time signature stuff. There's some really cool counterpoint with the acoustic guitar. Yeah, like these guys. They're not really prog, but they have these moments.
Yeah. There's definitely moments, like, because let's be frank, it would be an unfair attribution to say that there's no prog involved in this at all. Because let's be completely candid, there is clearly a prog element to the song. Because first off, the song bookends from acoustic guitar and completely effortlessly gradients into properly distorted just everything. It's just the song has a build, and that by definition to me makes it prog, and that's how I'm going to look at the lens of this song from.
Yeah, I mean it's prog. It's prog. There's no way around it. It's got bars of 7/8 in there, and that doesn't tend to happen in things that aren't prog. But it doesn't really feel like it feels more like a classic power metal song most of the time. Like you listen to, I mean, geez, any band from that era. Winter Sun does this a lot. That those nice, clean, the bard has arrived kind of sections, and then big guitars and solos, and yeah.
Well, I'd say that everything about this band is just everything about this song is just so inherently it's just so inherently of its time. Like it just has these extremely esoteric everything in the production of this song and this band is just this very esoteric thing. Like I was even, I was delving a little bit into the Wikipedia history a little bit, and a lot of just Symphony X, they went the whole route of I think the original record label off of this very specific, out of left field, now defunct Japanese record label. I think Zero Factory is what it was called, and it's just where do we even find these people? It's such a very specific origin story for a very specific New Jersey band.
Hmm.
Like it's just everything about it. Like I don't even know how to get to it. For me, the song isn't just a. It's not just the composition of the song. This uniquely is just the journey of the song coming up to being this beautiful composition that we are reviewing today. It's an
Yeah.
experience.
You know, something that really stood out to me in this song is that I mean Symphony X. When you think Symphony X, you think Michael Romeo,
Hmm.
because Michael Romeo is one of the best guitar players ever. There are not any. The song's 10 minutes long, and there is not a really like memorable Michael Romeo guitar solo in it. Like there's a lot of cool guitar work, but there's no, almost every Symphony X song he takes a minute and a half to shred his balls off. He doesn't in
Mm-hmm.
this one, which is interesting.
Well, I would still say that first off, there was definitely shredding of balls off in the song. Like we can't deny that. Like once the actual breakdown of a song of the guitar solo comes up, it's just this beautiful, very quintessential, like swoopy peaks and valleys guitar playing that is
Hmm.
just. Mm. And again, I know I keep going back to it, but it's just something about music from that early 2000s decade portion where you could really just it's like radio going through like what we have now, and radio going through is what do they used to call it, like an old Mercury kind of microphone where you can
Hmm.
get that real transatlantic accent going through. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about, though. There's just something about the mixing and the filtering of audio through this song that's just.
Even the mix is very 2004, like not top of, not top tier band. It's a little murky. The balance is a little funky, but it has a lot of character to it. It's also this era of Symphony X. You could really hear Michael Piniella, the keyboard
Mhm.
player, which I think they really like embedded him in the mixes more in modern Symphony X, which is cool. But it is nice to hear him sometimes.
Like, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that kind of stuck out to me about the song is the way they position the instruments. It's, to me, in my head canon of it, it almost feels like when you see band members not like scattered throughout the stage, but standing shoulder to shoulder on stage.
Hmm.
Every piece, every instrument is very clearly identifiable. Like the bass, first off, the bass playing on this track was just incredible. Like just great bass playing, but it was also very front and center. Like it wasn't really hidden behind the music. The bass was a feature. It was a prominently displayed track as opposed to something that's layered underneath the rest of it. There's like
Yeah,
a nice even spacing between everyone where everyone can stand out and shine.
yeah, absolutely. Also, like, we should talk about the vocals on this track for a minute. That, like, first of all, front and center, super clear, but what a performance.
Yeah, because like I think for me, like, look, I love my death metal as much as the next guy, but there's occasionally times where I just want to like hear the message of the song, you know? Like I just
Hmm.
and it's so crisp. Crisp is the right word for hearing his vocals.
Yeah.
And like I think it's Russell Allen in this album, right? Yeah,
I'm
Russell
not
Allen.
sure, but I
Yeah,
believe you.
because because Rod Tyler only stayed with the band and think about 95, I think, and I believe it was Russell Allen, blah, 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 who basically picked up the mantle up until like present day, and you know, just he has such a distinctive voice.
Hmm.
Like, I think a lot of vocalists attempt to sound like each other, but he just stands apart as his own entity. But what was your more or less takeaway of the vocals on this track?
Like they do feel very much like the classic operatic power metal vocals, but as you said, Russell Allen, all of the Symphony X vocalists have had very distinctive voices. I know
Mhm.
there's a lot of people who kind of wish Dream Theater had gone with one of them instead of um, their current vocalist, which is neither here nor there, but it fits the song super, super well. And it's very dramatic, which is power metal's supposed to be a little over dramatic, you know?
But there's being over dramatic and there's doing it in a tasteful way. Like
Yeah.
it's like wearing like a loud blazer, you know, like if it's complementary to what you're wearing or the focal piece of what you're wearing versus say like wearing a an entire suit pattern of like shirt, pants, jacket, belt, shoes, everything, and the whole thing is loud. It tends to get lost, but if you have like one loud thing, it makes perfect sense. That's like the piece of the outfit, and the vocals. I won't say loud. They are over the top in a way where it's appropriate in the lineup that what you have here. I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super appropriate, and the performance is just excellent. It's the vibrato's fantastic. The attitude behind he's singing about knights and angels and generic random fantasy shit. Like it's not. I don't even know what this song's about, honestly. But
Well,
he
let's
he really
go
sells
on.
it.
But let's be fair, you know, like it's not necessarily about, the subject matter of the song. I would argue the execution of that subject matter is more the focal point of the idea behind the song. Like, how can I think the strength of any power metal band is how do you take like okay, here's my point. If you were to take Glory Hammer and put them directly next to Symphony X,
Hmm.
they would be completely different, even though
Yes.
the subject matter could very much be interchangeable a bit, or even less charitably. Even less charitably. Who did the song Black Diamond? Stradivarius.
Stradivarius. Yeah.
Stradivarius. Okay, so if you put Stradivarius, who has a very similar cadence to Symphony X, I would say they are going to sound completely different because it's the delivery of the same nonsense that truly makes the band stand out. It's a texture because like Symphony X has a very distinctive vocal texture in my brain versus someone
Yeah.
like Stradivarius or even Glory Hammer. It's the execution of nonsense that
You know,
really makes it distinctive.
I'm wondering, it's very easy to make very generic power metal. There's hundreds of bands that have done it because power
Mhm.
metal it can be a very like junk food kind of music, if that makes sense.
It's a comfort music. I
Yeah,
apologize for nothing for
no,
enjoying
I
my comfort
apologize for
music.
nothing either, but I'm coming to realize that a lot of my favorite power metal bands, they do two things. One, they take the composition of the songs very seriously,
Mhm.
and two, they have very distinctive vocalists. I love my favorite bands in this genre: Epica, Symphony
Mhm.
X, Blind Guardian, and Camelot.
Oh man,
All completely different, but they both have those two features. No, both. All four of them have those two features.
I mean, I think we can definitely not disagree on the fact that one of the key components of power metal is formulaicness. It's this ability to manufacture something according to a time-tested formula, right? But I think the reality here is that every band needs a gimmick. Except, well, not even necessarily, because realistically, when you look at like Symphony X, they don't really have a gimmick that I can identify. It's just, expertly crafted musical composition.
Hmm.
Like they fit the mold, but they do so in a way, or maybe it was just so far back enough in time when things were just getting really wildly experimental back in like, the early 2000s. I think that, majority of power metal bands have a gimmick, but you don't necessarily need one, as clearly on display here with Symphony X and this particular song and specifically.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I don't know if this band is. I mean, this song is. It is a little gimmicky, but it's not. It doesn't come across. It doesn't bore you with its gimmick,
Hmm.
right? The gimmick is approached with a degree of creativity that's kind of free to be there because it is a little formulaic.
It is formulaic, but I will argue that there's enough going on with the song in terms of variety that it's enough to really scratch your brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I definitely it was never one point bored like listening to the song.
No. And speaking of like things going on, there's one section that I really want to talk about. It's about 7, 8 minutes in, something like that. There is a
Hmm.
moment where almost every instrument is playing in a different time signature, and it is amazing because it is done so naturally and so tastefully. You don't even notice until you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's weird.
Well, there you go. Like that's the point. The point is that Symphony X breaks the convention of like formulaicness and gives you things like that that allows you to allows you to have an experience that you didn't really see coming. And that's kind of the whole crux of my position here.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you.
And on top of
I
that, we also go to the idea that we came away with Christmassy a little bit as well. There's just elements of this where they sneak in very choiric vocals, which again power metal is wont to do, but the delivery of that came off in a very different way because it's not necessarily just the choir of big old German men singing in
Mhm.
harmony. This was something completely different. It was angelic. It was very distinctive.
I really, at some point, need to do a deep dive on what makes certain songs sound Christmassy, because there's a couple, I mentioned Crystallized earlier, that have a Christmassy feel without being Christmas music.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the way the vocals are delivered, if it's the choirs, if it's the bells, if it's the way the acoustic guitars work, if it's just certain melodic features. It might be a combination of all those things, but it's a cool vibe.
You know what we need is a almost Christmas album where like it sounds like Christmas music, but it isn't. But you could play it at Christmas, and no one would be the wiser.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd buy it.
Uh,
I'm just
I would,
like
yeah,
saying,
I'd make it. Put that on the list. Anyway,
why don't you make it?
uh, were there any sections of this that really stood out to you?
Um, I don't really know. Again, I think that again just the main one for me was just the guitar solo that just really stood out to me. Just this really nice, beautiful, just ephemeral sweeping, and there's no one part that really stuck out to me. Like every part served a purpose in my mind that just really made this a fun song to go through. And I always appreciate listening to music that just takes me so far back in time that I always say I'm back playing the Xbox, but like the song really does that for me, and I was really happy to go through it. It was a fun selection for this week.
Yeah, yeah. It is very atmospheric. It definitely has its own character.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Symphony X. I mean, we kind of contractually obligated to like them because we're metalheads from Jersey, but
I mean, well, there
yeah,
you go.
it's a good thing they're good. Um, any closing thoughts?
Any closing thoughts? Just go if this is for some reason your first foray into Symphony X through us. That's your cue to go. You know, go on YouTube, go to Spotify, just go listen. It's a good idea. You don't have to be from New Jersey to like Symphony X. You just got to have some ears and an appreciation for good metal and a good time.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what I've got for you.
Yep. Well, this has been the Airborne Sealife podcast. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us where? Instagram, TikTok, all the usual suspects, right?
All the usual suspects.
I have been Manuel.
And I'm still Brendan. And if you're finding us on YouTube, go get that subscribe button under your finger and press it. and like the video. We like that kind of thing. It makes YouTube like us more, and then we can be friends with YouTube.
Appease the gods for us, please.
Appease the god algorithmus.
All right, then. Goodbye.
Yep. Bye-bye. And recording.